All right. Tawabi Wam, good day. Shalom, peace. Welcome back to another lesson. Giving all glory and praise to Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, that belongs to the leadership of Great Millstone, the apostles and the elders and bishops. Peace, mercy, and grace to the household of faith, the elect, beginning with the 144,000. This is going to be a continuation of, well, not a continuation. This is going to be a, because I'm breaking down the 12 tribes in the Genesis, the 49th chapter. But this is going to be a side note lesson to add into what I was going into dealing with the tribe of Judah. Because in that lesson, I discussed a former slave by the name of Olaudah Equiano. And in this lesson, I wanted to touch more on him and speak more about him. All right, because this is just his account. You know, he's just more of proof of who, the Jews are, who we are. We are who we say we are, right? And the Lord has kind of made that plain and evident. And the Lord is about to plead our cause. That's why he's stirring the nations up. He's about to send all their asses to the Middle East for the battle of Armageddon, and he's going to judge them and bring their asses down and turn the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, right? So, I want to talk more about this Jake here, and Lord willing to be edifying, right? So, you had Olaudah Equiano, and what was interesting about him is he wrote a narrative, a firsthand account of what he experienced in the transatlantic slave trade. So, this is from Britannica. He was born circa 1745. Seal circa means somewhere around that time. So he was born somewhere around 1745 in Asaka, now in Nigeria, ? Died March 31st, 1797 in London, England. He was an abolitionist and writer whose autobiography, The Interesting Narrative of the Life of Olaudah Equiano, or Gustavus Vasa, because that was his slave name, the African, written by himself in 1789, became the first internationally popular slave narrative. In it, Equiano expresses a strong abolitionist stance and provides firsthand testimony of the transatlantic slave trade, as well as a detailed description of life in what is present-day Nigeria. All right, that's what Jake looked like. He was a Nigerian. According to him, he was taken from his Igbo village, around the time he was 11. I think they go into that. Yeah. Yep. So I want to read this. I'm trying to see how I want to bring out my points and stuff, because I want to go into his name first and foremost. I guess we'll start there, because his name was Olaudah, and like I mentioned in that the last video dealing with the Judahites of West Africa. In West Africa, you had the kingdom, something called the Kingdom of Judah in West Africa. I want to say it was in Benin, and even today you have a city there called Ouidah, or in English Wida, which is a variation of Judah, right? And Judah, the Kingdom of Judah, which was the southern tribes after the split. The northern kingdom, the 10 tribes were carried off into captivity by the Assyrians, and then from that captivity, they ended up migrating through the waters and through the oceans, and they ended up coming over here to the Americas, and they ended up being here. And then years later, you had the southern kingdom going to captivity under the Babylonians. All right, and the southern kingdom which was Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Eventually, they came back to the land, and then hundreds of years later, they ended up leaving the land when the Romans came in, as prophesied by Yahweh Shai that the Romans would come. 70 AD, they ended up leaving. Millions of them went into Africa, and over time they just started migrating more and more into Africa, and then eventually more west into Africa, where would be the destination before they ended up being captured there and then brought over here in the various West Indies to fulfill Deuteronomy 28:68, which would be the curse of being sold, brought into Egypt or bondage again on ships, right? And so even with this Jake, who was an Igbo, um, which really his name is Olaudah, which the Ola, that sounds Yoruba, Olaudah, and then you have the Judah, which is in there, the Uda, the Judah, which is in his name, right? And they say it was curious from his Igbo village. So, but again, Ola is a common Yoruba Nigerian name, which usually means wealth or success or grace. But Olaudah Equiano, and so from there, I think they say, yep, he was taken to the West Indies, which in his book, I think it specifies and says Barbados. He was brought to Barbados. Then he was brought into Virginia. So we're going to read a little bit of this, because just the fact that he got that Judah, this is just backing up, okay, the Uda, in his name, okay, Judah, these were the people, these were the Jews, these were, and this is what they look like, It's not those people that are in the land today claiming to be saying that they're, because they didn't fulfill the curses of going into Egypt on ships. They didn't fulfill the curses of being sold. They didn't fulfill the curses of having a yoke of iron upon their neck. Because Deuteronomy 28:48 says that there would be yokes of iron upon thy neck. And when you just do a little search on yoke of iron, what comes up is so-called blacks, all right, which are the Jews, all right? And we had the yoke of iron on our neck, via slavery, where we were sold into the nations, all right? Because as the scriptures say, Baruch 4:4, O Israel, happy are we, for things that are pleasing to God are made known unto us. Be of good cheer, my people, the memorial of Israel. Ye were sold to the nations, not for your destruction, but because you moved God to wrath, you were delivered unto the enemies. So when I was thinking about it, I was like, okay, when were we sold to the nations? All right, when you look at the Assyrians, they wasn't sold when they came and got Northern Kingdom. When Babylonians came and got us, we wasn't sold. When the Greeks came in and had us under doing a Hellenization, all that, we wasn't sold. When the Romans came in, they had us paying tribute, we wasn't sold. The selling dealt with the transatlantic slave trade, right? That's when we were sold. The history behind the slave's bill of sale. So we were sold to the nations. This Jake that we're reading about, this former slave, Olaudah, he was sold. And I got this video pulled up. If you want to check it out on the Fitzwilliam Museum channel, it's pretty much an actor who's acting out what was written in that narrative by the Jake that we're talking about. He's pretty much acting it out. You know what I'm saying? He's describing what the writer was saying. He was saying he's kind of like being a visual for it. You know what I'm saying? So, okay, the history behind the slave's bill of sale. So slaves had a bill of sale. On a worn, aged piece of paper dated 1835, a judge describes the sale of a 16-year-old girl named Polly with yellow complexion and black eyes. So this is the paperwork here. They kind of had that cursive back then. So look at the numbers. So it says this particular document reveals several things about the enslaved. For one, the buyer and the seller were from Arkansas, but it says indicated that at the time the use of slaves was spreading from areas like North and South Carolina to places further south and west like Alabama, Kentucky, and Arkansas. Also, the price paid for the slave girl, $600, also offers a way to measure how slavery evolved in later years. By the time the Civil War began, Bunch says a girl of Polly's age was sold for about $1,500. Ye were sold to the nations, not for your destruction, but because you moved the Most High to wrath. You see that? So, going back to Jake's account, according to his own account, Equiano was captured in his Igbo village at age 11, sold into slavery, and taken to the West Indies. From there, he went to Virginia, where he was enslaved by a sea captain, Michael Henry Pascal, who gave him the name Gustavus Vasa, and with him whom he traveled widely. Equiano was subsequently enslaved by 2 other people. He received some education during his enslavement, which ended when he purchased his emancipation in 1766. After Equiano settled in England, he became an active abolitionist, agitating and lecturing against the cruelty of British enslavers in Jamaica. He briefly was commissary to, man, this Jake got around. He briefly was commissary to Sierra Leone for the Committee for the Relief of the Black Poor. He was replaced after he expressed his concerns for settlers, some 500 to 600 formerly enslaved people, and how they were poorly treated before their journey to Sierra Leone. You know, Esau's did us dirty, man, but that was the Most High's wrath on them, though, you know. Publications of Equiano's scroll down. In the interesting narrative, Equiano idealized Africa and showed great pride in the ways of life there, and he attacked those who trafficked in slavery across Africa. He set forth not only the injustices and humiliations endured by those enslaved, but also his own experiences of kindness shown by Pascal and a community of Englishwomen, among others. Equiano's autobiography was so popular. We don't need that, excuse me. His picture, the 18th century, his eloquent argument in support of blah, blah. So, anyway, I'm going to order this so I can read it myself, but it says he died in 1797 in London. Yeah, so, and like I said, this video, Jake is basically acting out what was written in the way in what's being like the description, like Equiano is describing what he's seeing. He's seeing people, you know, hella sick, hella crowded, in fear, in anguish. He describes when he got to Barbados, and you know how the buyers where the shipmen who was navigating the ship got excited, or they were glad they got there, I guess, because it was time to get the money and shit like that. You know, it's good. Just good stuff. Good stuff. That's pretty much it, though. I just wanted to bring that out. You know, Olaudah, you know, 12 tribes. You got the Southern Kingdom, Judah, Benjamin, Levi. This is how we know through the Spirit that these are the Southern Kingdom, you know, just through stuff like this. Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Benjamin, West Indians, because, you know, they were brought there. And when you look at the Negroes and the West Indians, we're different, you know, because the tribes are different. So Levi, the Haitians, you know, then of course they were mixed and mingled amongst us too. They was, you know, scattered all throughout. So, you know, they was brought on them ships too. But yeah, man, you can't deny this stuff, man. You can't make it up. You can't deny it. You know, the Lord really did this. You know, and this was all to fulfill prophecy. Bring all the tribes over here, so we will be, you know, gathered and brought together in the end for the salvation. Deuteronomy 28:68, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. So, you know, we went into it. You had the slave bill of sale, you know, and we was getting sold, man. It was on that market. Matter of fact, they say that this was the first Wall Street. The first stock market was slaves. Joel 3, the nations will be judged. Why they gonna be judged? Because of what they did to us. Joel 3:6, the children also of Judah and children of Jerusalem have you sold into the Grecians. The Grecians are the Edomites, that ye might remove them far from their border. Because, you know, people will be like, oh, well, Esau is they be like, what they try to say, that the so-called white man is Japhet, because Greece in Hebrew is Javan or Yawan, which was a son of Japhet. So they try to link that and say that they, you know, the Japhites. Nah, that ain't it. You know, that land was taken over by Esau, and Esau assumed that identity. And so through the spirit we can discern that when it's talking about the Greeks, it's really talking about them, because they're the ones who took over. And they synonymous with that. Like, people don't synonymize with Europe and Greece and all that with Japhet, even though that was their original land after the flood. Esau moved their asses out, took over that identity. They became the Greeks, the Romans, the Europeans, and they are the Grecians that it's talking about here. We were sold into the Edomites, you know, and the proof is here. The documents are here. The bill of sale, as documents like this became known, is one of dozens of new artifacts that the National Museum of African American History and Culture is assembling for its growing collections. The bill of sale is one that Director Lonnie Bunch says can enlighten people's knowledge about the lives of slaves. All right, the evidence is here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close there. Pray was edifying.